Hello, IceCap fans, inside the rustic Glenmill Inn in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, Labrador. I'm St. John's play-by-play broadcaster Brian Rogers with my longtime sidekick, Brendan McCarthy of the Telegram, best color commentator in American Hockey League. And here's day 3 of the St. John's IceCaps training camp at the Corner Brook Civic Center. Brendan, I've been a Hab fan all my life. This is certainly an enlightening day and a great camaraderie feeling amongst the players and the coaches this morning, getting an opportunity to shake hands with some of the new players and find out how extremely gratifying it is for them to come to our great province, Newfoundland, Labrador, and start a new chapter in the American Hockey League as the AHL affiliate of the Montreal Canadiens. I think you had as much fun, even though you're not a Hat fan, but do cover this team as I did and David Salter, Director of Communications, did this morning. A little feedback on talking to some of the young guys and watching them out there. What was the first thing that you really took away from that when you just watched them for the time that you got an opportunity to do so?
On the ice, well, I mean, it's the same thing every year because I'm growing older and these fellows seem to be getting younger. This is a very, very young hockey team. It's a great skating team, but and we commented, we don't see very many slugs in this league anymore. Yeah. They all can skate, but looks like a real quick hockey team. Even on the back end, they look really quick. But I think more than it was for us, it was kind of an introduction to the team. Today, this is brand new for us because even though they are the St. John's IceCaps, we call them version 2.0 because with the new affiliation, and so we're trying to match names to faces, introduce ourselves in some cases, and even though for this team they were a team last year in the American Hockey League, the Hamilton Bulldogs, there's quite a bit of turnover, and even for those guys who were part of that team, there's a newness to this as well, and you get a sense down there, and you've been around long enough, you can figure out people when people are handing you a line, saying about I'm happy to be here or I'm glad to be here, but there is a real genuineness to the feeling that they have about being part of this and being part of something new, and they seem excited by it. I don't think it's fake. I think it's real, and if so, it's a good omen for this team.
Yeah. Well, there's some veteran players, of course, and 4 of those young gentlemen, we'll call them, as I'll get you to address the age factor on this hockey club momentarily, but 4 cleared waivers, and you look at George Bud Holloway. Now, if he doesn't become a Newfoundland icon, folks, I don't know who's going to be. How many Holloways do you know? I know at least 20 or 25, and there's going to be a slew of them in the phone book in the Metro St. John's area. But 27 years old, one of the leaders. He clears along with Christian Thomas and probably the captain, unless Sylvain Lefebvre goes a different direction with Gabriel Dumont, and then, of course, the pride of Ellerslie, PEI, and Morgan Ellis. But kind of veteran guys, and then you look around and go, holy jumping Joseph. I mean, how really old are these kids? How young are they? And talk about some of the ones that you saw.
We'll talk about the veteran. Morgan Ellis is senior defenseman on this team. 157, I think, AHL programs. That's 2 seasons worth. Yeah. So I was adding up on the defense. I say there's 9 defensemen, 5 are rookies, 2 are sophomores, and then you have Darren Dietz and Morgan Ellis. It's young, and it's young up front. I mean, they do have veterans. Holloway's played 3 years in the American Hockey League before he went to Europe. Nick Blanchard, who folks in St. John's will remember, as a member of the IceCaps last year, is here on a tryout. He's the most senior member. You have Dumont and Christian Thomas, I think, has a couple what we call qualifying games. That's for that AHL veteran rule. So they fall into it. So I added it up, and I think it was around between 1,400 and 1,500 of those qualifying games for those 4 players. They're all forwards. There are 14 other forwards in camp right now. Between them, amongst them all, those 14, 188 of those games. So it's a young team, a very young team. But that's become the norm now in American Hockey League. This truly has become more and more a developmental team. So I think there's going to be, we're asking Sylvain Lefebvre this morning about it because, there's going to have to be a patience factor for him in the first half of the season. And I think for folks who in St. John's who watch the American Hockey League know there's going to have to be a little bit for them perhaps as well, because that first half of the season can be such an adapting time for young players. 24 contractor players in this team, 12 are rookies.
Yeah, and then coming into the Corner Brook Civic Center this morning, seeing Eddie Pasquale in full regale, and Eddie, of course, missing last year, had to go back into the knife for another surgery on that hip that basically, forced him to leave the St. John's IceCaps a year ago, January, or 2 years now, I guess it will be, in that run to the Calder Cup. Michael Hutchinson took over. But you tell Eddie when he came out, he had the new helmet. Obviously, he's got the red, white, and blue, les bleus Bleu, Blanc et Rouge. I know, he doesn't want to hear that.
I saw a Shamrock in there.
There you go. And, well, now with Eddie, but Eddie's just enamored to be here. Will he be here is another question. Zach Fucali, of course, who is primed to be a pro one of these days. Well, he's going to turn pro in the AHL, but who knows whether it's with Montreal or not. But he's a big kid. I didn't realize. And then there's young Ben Goss, who's also a big youngster. Glenn and Peg's son, the former curling greats from St. John's. Benny is here. He's going to Brock University in St. Catharines, but he's here. And that was kind of cool, I like that. You see, Pasquale, Fucali, we can have some fun on the air this year. That happens to be the tandem,
I don't very much.
It's kind of cool.
They're going to get another goalie from Montreal. I'm saying probably Mike Condon, although he's had a great camp. But I think the question is going to be who that second goaltender is going to be. Yeah. Whether it's going to be Fucali, that you want to kind of get him acclimated to really into your organization, or it will be Pasquale with the backup, and who's going to go to Brampton and play a lot to be the new Michael Hutchison, who benefited from that scenario a couple of years ago. So that's going to be one of the questions. And then coming into the next week or so, I think the other one will be, besides the goaltender who comes down, there's still 3 or 4 cuts to be made in Montreal. Who else is going to come down? Because, of course, when you get to this point of the season, the last cuts of Montreal, those are going to be some of your key players in St. John's. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with regards to, especially on defense. With Barbario and Tenori will be the guys I'm paying attention to. And then up front, I think it's Hudon, Ambroghetto, and
Sven Andrighetto, and Mikhail Bonaval is injured.
He's injured. You're probably not going to see him for a while. So some combination of those players are going to come down, and they're going to be amongst your leaders on this team.
Yeah. A lot of people, of course, the Cornerbrook Civic Center is very open to the public. A lot of seniors and middle-aged people, and I'm in that senior category right now at 60, but feeling 20 with the prof, and hockey season starts again. Trying to tuck in a chin, I'm trying to say, look a little tighter than I actually am. But a lot of people like walking the boat. There was a nice atmosphere there this morning, and you could see there was a lot. The public was invited in. There was a lot of people with hats on, and a lot of eyes were on 2 players in particular. Number 17, Nikita Skurback, and number 25, Michael McCarron, the Memorial Cup.
They're big boys. Not hard to find.
Boy, I'll tell you what a size of youngsters, and it looks like they could be 2 real good finds for the Habs looking into the future.
Well, McCarron especially, because they want him to be a center. He played both the wing and center in junior. But I think, and of course, anybody who's followed Montreal, they've been looking for that big center for a long time.
Long time.
So will it be him? And then Sherback's got the great pedigree from the junior. But going back to the Civic Center, they do have that mezzanine. The people that walking about the recreational walk, especially on a day it's kind of a mild but rainy day here. But I'm going to say the other thing, and this is who's Cornerbrook well. I came here in 1999 to cover the Canada Winter Games here. I think the building was a couple of years old. It has held up remarkably well. Beautiful. It's well kept. It looks really, really well. And a lot of you get into your second decades of buildings, sometimes they start to show their age. This one hasn't, so they've done a really nice job out here. It's good to see, and I'm sure the players will appreciate it as well. So the game's here on Friday night, but before that, we're going to see the IceCaps for the first time on the ice tomorrow night, Thursday night, 7:30 in Stephenville for the first game of the
Coleman's Cup. So Brendan and I will be on the air on 9:30 CJYQ. This is Newfoundland Labrador flagship radio station. We'll have a half-hour pregame show beginning at 7 from the Dome in Stephenville, and we'll also be, of course, on our website www.stjohnsicecaps.com. So we urge you, if you get an opportunity, to either tune in on your laptop, your phone, or you get a chance to turn on the old transistor radio, because the power radio is still around in this day and age, Brett.
They still have crank radios. They're still crank radios,
and it works perfect for me, having a face for radio as opposed to doing these things with this handsome devil here.
People, when they think crank, they think no.
No, well, I sure hope not anyways. So we trust you enjoyed it. We got a great following, and you can go to our website anytime at all, follow our Facebook, our Twitter, which you're seeing now Periscope-wise, and it's fun to do, and it's just real exciting to get back in the saddle again, my longtime friend. And here we go. Go Habs, go. You won't hear him say it too loud, but being a Bruin fan in his heart, I think he likes the baby Habs just a bit, because we don't play Providence.
I'll say thanks, Geneva.
Absolutely. Great job by Jeannie Haber, doing a great job here. We're going to get her a nickname sooner or later before the weekend's over, all part of the family here with the St. John's IceCaps of the American Hockey League, the proud affiliate of the 24-time Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens. Live from Cornerbrook, I'm Brian Rogers with the hockey prop Brendan McCarthy of the Telegraph. Have a great day, everyone.